house in Paris that was covered with vines.
Tell little girl into straight line. Into straight line, they broke their bread and brushed their teeth and went to bed. Into straight lines. In rain or shine, Mama's line was Madeline.
For generations of children, those familiar lines signal the beginning of another tale of Madeline. The beguiling little girl with bright red hair and dapper blue coat made her debut in 1939.
Look at all the dots right.
And with nearly 14 million copies sold, Madeline's appeal shows no signs of wearing off.
Why do you think Madeline is so enduring?
She's an every girl. She's brave, she's adventurous, she's funny. She's what every little American girl wants to be.
Jane Curley is the curator of an exhibition at the New York Historical Society celebrating Madeline's 75th birthday. The feisty little girl, it turns out, is still full of surprises.
People think that she's French, and she's not. She's an American girl who happens to be in a French boarding school. People think that Miss Clavel is a nun, and she's not.
Though set in a school, the books are anything but academic.
One thing I love about the Madeline books is there are no classrooms. The kids are out seeing the world. They're having adventures.
While traveling through Europe, meeting ambassadors, gypsies, and magicians alike. It's the tale of a girl who gets herself in and out of trouble, not unlike her creator, Ludwig Bemelmans.
He had always said it was a combination of his daughter, my mother, his wife, and his mom that it was based on. But I think really it was himself who was the smallest in class, who was always getting into trouble.
John Bemelmans Marciano is the grandson of the author.
Well, he had a very difficult childhood. His father left the family when he was only 5 years old. He definitely had a hard time of it in many ways, but he was also someone who, no matter how hard things got, he really embraced life.
Born in Austria in 1898, Ludwig Bemelmans was a terrible student who often ran afoul of authorities. At 16, he had to choose between attending reform school or emigrating to America. He chose America. He found work as a busboy at the Ritz Hotel in New York City, all the while beginning to develop his true calling.
He loved the hotel business, but all the time that he was here, he was drawing on the backs of menus, standing behind the potted palms, or using the bakery wall as a place to draw and then mop off the wall.
For years, the self-taught Bemelmans worked his day job while pursuing his art. He published a comic strip and illustrated for magazines like Town and Country. Then, in 1935, he married Madeline Freund and had a daughter, Barbara. Life was hard at times, but the bon vivant took it in stride, saying, "My greatest inspiration is a low bank balance." But it was a vacation on a French island and a chance meeting with a little girl that provided his greatest inspiration.
There was one motorized vehicle on the island which managed to run him over, and thankfully it was the ambulance. And it brought him to the hospital, where there was a crack in the ceiling that had the habit of looking like a rabbit, and a little girl in the room next door who came in and proudly showed off her appendix scar to my grandfather and everyone else at the hospital.
So that was a seed of Madeline.
Yeah.
Bemelmans returned to New York and wrote the opening lines of Madeline, incorporating tales his mother told about her childhood school, where the little beds were in rows and all the girls dressed alike.
Madeline was named after your grandmother, right?
It was named after my grandmother, Madeline, but Madeline doesn't rhyme with anything. You have vines, you have lines.
The first Madeline book was an immediate success, and 5 more followed, catching the eye of Jacqueline Kennedy.
The First Lady wrote Bemelmans a fan letter in about 1961. He sent her a drawing back that he wrote to Jacqueline's baby. And a friendship ensued. And they even talked about writing a book where Madeline would come and visit Caroline in the White House.
Bemelmans passed away in 1962, but his fictional little girl lives on. There are toys, cartoons, even movies.
The smallest one was Madeline.
What do you think?
It's great. You've really captured it.
Madeline!
Au revoir.
Then, 15 years ago, John Marciano, Bemelman's grandson, revived the series and fulfilled Mrs. Kennedy's wish with Madeline at the White House.
I think Madeline is so timeless because kids haven't changed. And she really captures the spirit of a particular kid. They love the language, they love what's happening, they love that every other kid is cowering and she's brave.
So what's your favorite thing about Madeline?
That she's not afraid of tigers.
What do you love about Madeline?
That she's brave.
What endures is a little girl who isn't afraid of experiencing the ups and downs of life. A little girl who never grows old.
Good night, little girls. Thank the Lord you are well. And now go to sleep, said Miss Clavel. And she turned out the light and closed the door, and that's all there is. There isn't any more.